Here we go again. It is episode 4, episode 2 of our two-part weekly series we're bringing out to you guys, trying to shorten the episodes up. It is Wednesday, January 29th, and here we go again. We are joined here today by Isaac, Wright, and Hayden Knight. You boys like to say hello?
How you guys doing tonight?
Hey, I am with here today, Pete. I'll go ahead and introduce him with one of my great friends, a great colleague, formerly known as the GOAT of Wapaka High School. This man, everywhere he goes, all eyes on him. He's a special breed. Nobody like him, Ryan Dayton.
Wait, we have Seth Bolt on the podcast today?
Oh, very good.
I was going to say,
Wonderful soccer player.
very humble.
Go ahead, Rhino, say hello, please.
Hello. Here we go again.
All right, let's get into it.
All
Peter
right,
and Isaac.
Hayden, you got a hot take?
The Tennessee Titans will win the Super Bowl next season.
No way.
Okay.
Can I go on in
go
this one
first.
first?
Yeah.
Let me in on this
Go
one
ahead.
first.
I don't even need to explain why. Go ahead.
How Ryan Tannehill is average at best. In the best case scenario, you give him the best weapons, he's average.
I agree.
If you hand the ball off to Derrick Henry for 16 games and you give him the ball 25 plus times, no way he sits through a fully healthy season. They may get through the AFC eventually, but there is the Kansas City Chiefs, especially this week or last week, figured out how to stop Derrick Henry, and they forced Ryan Tannehill to throw, and he couldn't lead them to a victory. And I get the Kansas City Chiefs are a lot better of a team than the Titans this year, but you're going to run into the same situation next season, and some team's going to figure out how to stop him. He's not immortal. He's not Adrian Peterson. He's not, and they weren't able to do it on their own. I just don't see at all. I don't even see him. I think they are more likely to miss the playoffs next year than to make a Super Bowl, much less win one.
He's not Adrian Peterson. Averages 2.6 yards a carry last season. Go ahead, Pete. Let's hear it.
Well, first of all, Adrian Peterson is, 33, 32? So we can't count it as recent seasons. But as a Jaguar fan, I would never like to see this happen. The fact that the Titans even came that close to a Super Bowl certainly makes me want to jump in front of an ongoing truck or a bypassing truck. But however,
Serious.
I do hate the Titans. The Titans are 100% the team I hate the most, like 100%. But I'm coming from a non-biased point here. Titans got a good defense, a really good defense. Hayden, what?
You said coming from a non-biased point after explaining why you were so biased.
Well, no. Now I'm going into a non-biased point here. Titans have a really good defense. They got some good players. Adoree Jackson. Harold Landry didn't look that bad. Who's that? Raheem Evans, is that it? Is that Raheem Evans out of Alabama? They got some good Rasheen, that's it.
Yeah.
They got some good young talent on that defense. And I think if they can bolster some of the offensive weapons, mainly wide receiver, maybe get someone to pair up with A.J. Brown that's not named Corey, I think they have a chance to make the playoffs if they can get past the dominant Jaguars and the Houston Texans, that is. But I can't see them making a Super Bowl within the next 5 years. Definitely not next year.
Pete.
But that's just my opinion. But moving on from the hot take here, unless Rhino wanted to throw something in. My bad, Rhino.
Well, I think they got a chance to make the playoffs. I mean, their division's not the strongest. The Texans will probably be there. I don't know how your Jaguars are, Pete, but the Colts aren't anything special.
The Colts could be good with a good quarterback, though.
Yeah.
They really could. I mean, we saw how close they were last year.
We saw anything can happen in the playoffs, so if they make it there,
that's true.
You never know.
Are they more likely to make it on the shoulders of Ryan Tannehill taking snaps?
They're not.
Or Marcus Mariota.
Marcus Mariota every single day of the week, and that is why I made the point, because I think, I could be wrong, but I do think the Titans are going to let Ryan Tannehill walk here. I would develop an offense around Derrick Henry and Marcus Mariota. I don't see how it's bad. I don't see how you can go wrong with two athletic dudes out of the backfield, with one of them being a power back. I mean, Mariota's not the fastest guy on the team, obviously, but he still got wheels, especially for a quarterback. And as much as the college offense comes into the NFL these days, why not bring a little more of the option and just run all over the AFC South? That's what I would do. I don't think receiver is their biggest need. I would like to maybe an O-line upgrade, maybe a better kicker. Sometimes that makes a difference here. Maybe go out there and make a splash move for Justin Tucker. Then you have to throw a couple seconds in there maybe. But yeah, I have a feeling I think the Chiefs won't be as good. I think the Ravens, I think they'll win the division, but I don't think they're going to be special. And I only think they'll win the division because Roethlisberger is going to be horrible. I do think if the Steelers had a good quarterback, they'd be a force to be reckoned with, though. That defense is something special.
I'd like to end the segment with this statement. Okay?
Go ahead.
Baker
Sure.
Mayfield and Nick Chubb are a better duo than Marcus Mariota and Derrick Henry. And it's not even close.
I strongly dislike Baker Mayfield.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. It's not even close. Hey, sophomore slump. But even in a sophomore slump, I'm taking Baker Mayfield every day of the week and twice on Sunday over Marcus Mariota.
Twice on Sunday. That's 8 interceptions, Isaac. Absolutely horrible.
Hey, it's okay to be jealous.
Sure.
It's all right.
All right.
I will say this, Nigel. If the Titans make it to the conference championship again, regardless of if they win or not, I will personally take you to the restaurant of your choice, and I will cover every single cent and every single drink that you purchased that night.
I expect the Jaguars to have the same thing for me.
I'm going to have a lot of drinks that night, Isaac, in celebratory fashion. And then I'm going to move on, and we'll go out to eat somewhere in, where's the next year's Super Bowl? I want to say it's Vegas.
That's where the draft's at.
I'm sorry. Wherever Super Bowl 2021. That's where we'll get lunch, Isaac, so we can go ahead and watch the Titans while we're there.
Sounds good.
All right, we got to start moving on a little bit here. We got a little caught up with that hot take that sent me all the way to visit Haiti down there. And one thing I just want to touch on, the Tennessee Titans, I said the Tennessee Titans have an 86.8 pass blocking grade. So I don't think they need anywhere on the line improved, especially for free agency targets or the first round. I think they got enough.
Could be better.
Could be better. Obviously, it could be better, but PFF ranked them the best line. One last thing I want to touch on is I am going to do a petition for Hayden to become the GM of the Tennessee Titans, just to help the rest of the division out a little bit. But
Good
moving
luck,
on,
AFC.
we're going to be talking about Zion's comeback from his injury, and if he is still your guys' favorite to win Rookie of the Year. Rhino, I'm going to start you off with this one.
Well, Zion coming back's great for the NBA. His first game, I didn't see the first quarter, but the first three quarters actually were disappointing. But then he just lit it up, and he's playing really well. I don't think he'll win Rookie of the Year just because he missed 40 games. Yeah. That's half the season right there. Yeah. And, I think Ja's the favorite because Memphis is playing really well.
Yeah, they're hunting for a playoff seed.
Yeah. Memphis is like miles ahead of where they were projected to be this season so far. So,
which is a great thing, by the way, because I believe the Celtics have their pick this year. But I agree. I don't think there's really a chance. I almost think if he does, it'd be like almost rigged in a sense.
Yeah.
I think it's, how could you give, a guy who played half the games like that alone, he's half deserving of the award. And Ja's he's definitely been something special doing exactly what he did in the tournament last year, especially with some of his dunks. He's a remarkable player, and I don't think there's really a chance. Even a guy like, who's another good rookie? I guess RJ's been okay. Hero's been all right, yeah.
None.
But no, there's no other rookie.
None's been great.
I have to agree. I think Ja Morant deserves Rookie of the Year so far, with hands down, and I do think if Zion wins, it's definitely rigged for more viewers. But another name I want to throw in there as a slight underdog is Rui Hachimura. Excuse me, I
Oh
don't know
my
if I'm pronouncing
gosh.
that right.
The Wizards have like 12 wins.
But he's putting up numbers on a 12-win team as a rookie.
Oh.
Jeez, that's like a
I will
senior.
say I loved that pick. I think he provides phenomenal height. The scoring ability is great. I think it's only it's only up from here with him. I loved the pick. Not a lot of analysts like the pick. I will say this about Zion though, that boy is fat, and that guy has to lose weight because where did they send him in for his rehab? His grandmother's house.
Wow.
The dude has put on probably 30 more pounds than he came into the NBA, and he was already 285. Shaq wasn't even that heavy when he came in as a rookie.
You think he's 315?
I think he's pushing it.
He's like,
Jeez, they should have had that dude on a treadmill.
I don't think he looked that much bigger.
He looked massive.
I think he
If I'm
looked
like-
bigger. Just a little
And
bit.
nobody respected him. Yes, he made the 3-pointers. That was exciting to watch. I want him to succeed. I think he's exciting for the NBA. But they didn't even cover him. He went out to the perimeter, and the farthest they went out there was the free throw line, which in today's NBA, I think you switch off a men and you cover them all the way out to the perimeter. The centers are going out to the perimeter to guard guys because I sat there and watched Cat make like 7 threes on OKC the other night. That's just the way the NBA is, but it just surprised me that he came out and looked as big as he did. Morant is gonna win it unless barring injury or anything.
Hachimura, yeah.
It's gonna be Morant. Also, did you guys see that they're talking about, I believe, retiring his jersey at Murray State? So that was pretty cool.
Well, definitely he deserves to get it retired. I mean, he's the best player that I remember coming out of Murray State. I might be missing a few names here. But as Zion
Dwayne
Williamson, if you're listening, that was a offer to fight Isaac, right? He did actually ask. Well, basically, he was saying that he would love to fight you, I think, by calling you fat.
I'll beat him in a race.
But moving on, Isaac, you got one right and one wrong for us today. Am I correct?
You are correct, Peter. Let's first start it off with my first right, and this is a little bit of a solemn conversation that we just are going to continue on from the last podcast and referencing Kobe Bryant. But I have really enjoyed watching how the NBA and how teams and how individuals surrounding the NBA and how other sports have just come together and united around this horrific incident, and how the league has honored them. I think there was some controversy in regards to should the league cancel the games that night, and in all, I probably would have leaned towards yes. I think that would have been the right move. I think watching those teams play and how they honored him and his legacy that he left behind, again, not only to the game but to the world around him, I think I applaud it. I love it. There's always a silver lining in horrible situations like this, and I think that that's one of them. My heart goes out to the Bryant family and losing his daughter, who is going to carry the legacy, bright future as a basketball player, but just as a human being, it's unfortunate to see her light go out early, but I'm happy. Just how everybody's gotten together and honored Kobe with the shot clock violations, and to see Trae Young and Devin Booker, the statistics they put up, the 24 shots and the 45 points, and just how everything's come together. It's just really, really good to see. And that being said, I do have a wrong. It is Laker related, and it is Roy Hibbert. I was scrolling through Twitter the other night, and his name was trending again, and I clicked on it because I was curious to see what all the hullabaloo was about, and people were killing this dude. He's been out of the NBA for what, 6 years now, 4 or 5 years, somewhere in there. It hasn't been 6 years. It's closer to 3 or 4, right?
3, yeah. His last game, Kobe's last game, I think.
That's right. It's closer to 3. Who am I thinking? I'm thinking of Bynum with the timeline there, but they replayed Kobe's last game, and he looked awful. Like sitting through that game, I texted Hayden. I said it is a beating watching Roy Hibbert play basketball again, which is unfortunate. The dude went to 2 All-Star games with the Pacers. It's just kind of surprising, but sorry to see him get dragged through the Twitter world again because it was pretty painful to watch.
Well, you just need to go back to the 2011 NBA Finals, or not the NBA Finals, the Conference Finals, and watch the performance
Oh.
he put up against the Heat back then, and then you'll realize, yeah, that's Roy Hibbert.
Come on.
All right, but moving on, we have a new segment we are going to be starting once a week, and feel free to comment questions down below under this video and to send them in to either of us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc. We're going to be doing a mailbag where we answer questions from you guys, for you guys, and Isaac is going to be reading the questions off and asking him to separately me, Hayden, or Rhino. So, Isaac, you want to get into it?
Yeah, so for the first few questions, these are just going to be yes or no answers, so we'll just go around in a circle. So we'll start off however you guys want to interject, but this will be for everybody. So a listener, friend of the podcast named Lori asked, did O.J. Simpson do it?
Okay.
Yes.
Oh. Yes, Lori.
Yes.
You did. Wow. Did Aaron Hernandez? Come on, Lori. Wow.
So we are all in agreement on that
Yes.
on that answer.
Yes.
Rhino, anything, any hot take you want
I
to?
think the evidence is pretty clear. Yes.
I think he admitted
All right.
to it himself.
Yes.
Grace asks, would granny shots be more effective if coaches push for them to be practiced more? Rhino, you want to give us a take on that one?
No.
Wow. It's remarkable.
I don't think players would want to practice the granny shot.
No
I mean,
kidding. It's a good way to throw at your back at a young age.
It's a good way to get your shot blocked. because
Yeah, it is.
You're releasing it from knee level.
The only way I could see this working is those few clips you've seen, of people doing it actually, over their head and throwing a granny shot backward over their head. And you've seen a few buzzer beaters, in remarkable shot clock plays here over the years. But the granny, that would be very bold, Grace. I like the idea, though.
See, I like it as a free throw. I think maybe for the people like Dwight Howard
Sure.
who can't make a free throw to begin with, maybe they
Sure.
should practice the granny shots.
But do you really think it's easier to hit a granny shot, where you're holding the ball on either side? If your arms aren't perfectly in line, that thing's going all over the place. There's really no telling.
Well, I'm not 7 foot, so
Kind of like
unfortunately-
my basketball abilities in high school.
That's right. Yes.
All right, next question. This one was actually asked by Gabe, a listener of the podcast. He directed this one towards me. When will Isaac beat me in a game of pool?
Wow.
Considering I am an average pool player at best, probably will take a while. Really putting in the hard work. Been getting a trainer. Been putting in work in the weight room. So hopefully sooner than later, but I wouldn't put any money on it. Next question. Thomas asks, what are your guys' opinions on letting homeschoolers play on high school sports teams?
Well, it's no different than homeschoolers playing in high school bands, is it?
Well, I think there was an argument, especially in Tim Tebow's recruitment, because he was homeschooled. The state of Florida did allow you to play, but it could be recruited. If you have a high, player like that, highly recruited, was a 5-star out of high school, you can recruit him to either district that he can play in. Offer to buy him a house. I think it just gets a little shady in areas like that. I think there have to be a lot of regulations on it. You look at Michael Orr's case with the adoption. I'm sure everybody's watched The Blind Side. It could be a situation like that where, you're really not able to monitor the academic, angle that the student is coming from, what they're learning. Are they just sitting on the couch eating popcorn? I get for the general consensus that's probably not true. But when you get these recruits that are strictly wanting to just play, basketball, football, one and dones, it just leaves a little bit of gray line. I don't have an issue with it. I was personally homeschooled for a few years. The homeschool, at least the areas I were in, were awful competition levels. So I would have enjoyed going and play at high school level competitions and being able to play at part of teams. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I just think there could be some gray area with it. Hayden?
Well, let me first start off, Peter. Let's not relate, all extracurriculars. You say, band is similar to high school sports. let's not be outlandish here. This is still a sports podcast, Peter, and I'm all about the band. I'm all about extracurriculars. I myself here, I took, I believe it was 7 credits, Isaac. Was it 7 credits in high school singing?
I think so, yes.
It was 7 credits. All right. So, I'm all about, music there and fine arts. But let's that's like quoting, potatoes to tomatoes. It rhymes, but not even near one another. So let's not get crazy. But now, first and foremost, no. Yes, I do think they should be allowed, and simply because, who's to say there's not a scary, good hidden talent out there that's homeschooled, and, he has no say in being homeschooled, but he's homeschooled, and he could have a career playing, football or a gal with a career in, anything, basketball, even if it's, something, an extracurricular sport, like swimming or something like that. I certainly think it should be allowed because kids don't get a chance otherwise. And, if they're in the school district, then yeah, I don't see why it shouldn't be allowed. The only issue there is, in our instance, Wapaka High School, there's kids who don't go to Wapaka High School. So you almost have to change your team name then, which they usually do, if I'm not mistaken, to co-ops or whatever, things like that, where sometimes you can throw it, and even, make the jersey switch and things like that. But no, I certainly think they should be allowed to, as, simply their right of being a kid, what it comes down to.
I like it. I like that. I like that angle a lot. I agree with it. Asher took a shot at Hayden with his next question. How long will it be for Hayden to own all 32 starting quarterbacks' jerseys and say how much he loves them and rooted for them in college?
Wow. Sure. Let me tell you something. I'm a fan of about half the quarterbacks in the league. There are a few that could go, and I will never get their jerseys. Now, some jerseys would simply be cool, like a Joe Flacco Broncos jersey. Who the heck has one of those?
What kind of hot take is that?
Well, come on now. Just simply be drippy.
Joe Flacco is elite. The next question we have comes from Josiah, and he asks, what athlete would you actually believe is an alien?
Kawhi Leonard. I don't think that's a hard answer by any means. Something about that dude is not human, and it has nothing to do with his ability to play basketball.
My answer is easy. It's Cristiano Ronaldo. You've seen how far he can jump. You've seen how agile he is, just being 6'2", if I'm correct. He's just a freak.
My answer is John Daly, because why would an alien enjoy playing golf, drinking beer, and smoking some darts? Next question.
Wow. I was thinking Chance Bailey's dad when you said John Daly, the former wrestling coach. All right.
No, John Daly, the professional golfer, great role model. Judah asks, he has 2 questions. If you guys could just throw out the response to this in a one word, that'd be great. Who would last longest on a deserted island out of the 4 of us, Rhino included? And you cannot answer yourself. Who would you guys take?
Rhino?
I mean, okay. Are we...
My answer is Rhino.
No, okay. Last the longest, like...
Like live the longest?
Yeah, are we trying to...
Or like survive?
Survive the longest.
Oh, not against each other. We're all on our own islands.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess.
All right.
I guess.
So who could figure out how to live the longest?
I don't know, man.
Just throw a name out there.
I'm going Rhino just based off of pure
smarts.
Yeah, exactly. He is by far brings up the IQ points of this podcast up significantly.
I'm going to say something here. I'm not really survival skill smart or street smart. Okay, I stick to the books.
Now, what's Rhino's answer?
I would say, oh man, take your pick with you 3 here. Man, that's tough.
This makes us look bad.
No, it's tough.
Let me interrupt. I 100% think I could survive.
Yeah.
But my thought behind it has no backing up. So I also think like I'd be the first to go. I really don't know. It's the same thing as getting into like a bar fight or something. I've, for the longest time, I feel like I would just go out there, and bop, a couple times here and there. But then other times I think, why would I believe that when I've never, so much as swung on a swing? Okay. So it's tough to tell. It's tough to
I
tell.
will say if we're fighting against each other,
I'm the first.
Peter
one.
dies last. Peter dies first, and we're able to survive off of Peter's body. Whether we result to cannibalism or just the bones in his body as tools.
All right, let's move on. I don't like the way this question's going.
G-rated out there.
I'm just saying that's where I would go. I think Rhino got the general consensus. Yes, Hayden, I think you'd be a close second.
I don't know.
Next question. Oh, he also asked, Judah asks, why does Isaac hate Eli Manning? I do not hate Eli Manning. In fact, I love him very much. I just don't think he deserves to get in the Hall of Fame. Is that hating somebody? I think a lot of people don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
Just one word for that. You're wrong. Yeah.
But I love him. I'm not. Well, actually, my last name is right, but that's beyond the point. Damien asks, what's the top 5 draft NFL prospects looking right now?
All right.
I think 2 is a given.
Yeah.
I think Burrow and Chase Young is for sure. And then I don't know. Who has the 3rd pick? Is it the Jets, I want to say?
I don't know. It's
I think mine, if I had to go from top to bottom, 1 through 5 would be Burrow, then Chase Young, obviously. 3 would probably be Okudah, followed by Andrew Thompson from Georgia, and then C.D. Lamb from Oklahoma.
I would go Chase Young, Joe Burrow in no specific order. Okudah, excuse me here, and maybe Derek Brown or Isaiah Simmons. Yeah, I would just go with those 5. I'm going to go with those 5.
I think Tua goes number 5 for sure to the Dolphins. I don't.
Well, we're not talking about draft order.
Oh, we're just talking about the best
Prospects,
5 players
yes.
in the draft. Oh, okay. I would say Chase Young is a better athlete than Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
That dude is a freak. I mean, he'd probably start on the Lakers. Quite okay, yeah.
So we're gonna end with 2 pretty. They have a chance to be lengthy. They're a little bit I guess meatier in value. But our mutual friend Kirsten asks, why should athletes be paid 6 to 8 figures for playing a game where people like teachers get paid $30,000 a year and barely make it month to month? Rhino, would you please start us off with a reply?
Kirsten, that's a great question. I would say that athletes get paid more than teachers because it's all about the fans and the revenue they bring in.
Exactly.
I mean, LeBron James or any star athlete fills the seats for every game they play, and teachers only have like 20 students in their class, maybe 30 at most, 20 to 30 students, and
they're not known outside the school. Here's the deal with professional athletes: they bring in so much money from every single angle, and I mean half the guys. LeBron James makes far more with Nike and endorsements than he does on his contract. I mean, it's not the contract.
Commercials.
These guys make so much money because they make other companies and organizations so much money, and they're deserving of it in that aspect. Now, their job to go out there and do something that 99% of them love. Obviously, that's a little different from teachers, but part of it too is that schooling is still free. So budgets for high schools and things like that just aren't what they. I mean, it's not like how much you think the Los Angeles Lakers make a home game.
Too much.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I mean, probably 10 school years worth of revenue for a district.
Yes.
I mean, it's in that regard, it's just you have so much more to give it.
I have a simple, short answer because I want to get moving here. You tell me when Mr. Adi has a contract with Nike, and then we can bring back up this question.
Mr. Adi.
Mr. Adi.
Oh, wonderful guy.
I would give Mr. Adi the best Nike contract, make him the most well-paid Nike endorsement deal in existence, and to watch that dude walk in there with Jordans every class period would be just phenomenal. Last question. We touched on this a bit in the last podcast in regards to Eli Manning and his Hall of Fame status. But Travis is curious. what should the standard be to get into the Hall of Fame? He's sick of, you can't write history without this player. It's just not working for him. Although he does agree that Eli Manning should be in, why? What's the standard for it?
Simple. You either got to have good stats throughout your playing career, you either got to have a lot of rings with a little bit of good stats, or you just got to have a good mixture of both. That's my simple answer, and that's it.
I think you basically got to win a bowl to be considered and be above average to get in. That easy.
Rhino?
Yeah, good numbers, good popularity with the fans, I would say. Maybe that affects your. Yeah. But yeah, you gotta have good numbers. It helps if you win a couple Super Bowls.
Definitely helps.
Postseason success.
If Eli never won a Super Bowl, I don't think he would be considered.
I agree.
But the fact he beat the Patriots in one of the years they were probably the best NFL team in the last 50 years.
17-0.
18 at
Yeah.
But all right, let's move on, Pete. Here.
All right, moving
next?
on here. We have about 3 more segments left. One of those is just my short soccer roundup, so we won't be too worried about time on that one. But here we're going to be talking about what we all think should be done. Mainly I want to hear Rhino and Hayden's takes on this. What should be done with the cheating Astros, and what do you think? What punishment would you give them for, let's say, that? Hayden?
I mean, the first thing to do was to get rid of the manager and the GM, which they did. The second thing to do is to take away draft picks, which they did. But here's the deal. I believe is it 60% of first rounders and 30% of second rounders ever make it pro or something like that. It's something, it's a crazy small number. I mean, it's a 40-round MLB draft, and MLB players have a 40-man roster that has like 25 guys on it.
You hear about teams making first-round picks, and then you never hear that name again.
You literally don't.
They die out in the minor leagues.
The last time a hype draft prospect has, made it to the league and was popular was, I believe, 2015 with Dansby Swanson and Alex Bregman going 1 and 2.
Yep.
And those are the only guys. I could not tell you who's been drafted first overall. I have no idea.
Carlos Correa.
I mean, when was Vlad Jr. drafted?
Bryce Harper.
Wasn't Chris Bryan a first round draft or first overall?
No.
I think he came in with Bryce Harper.
Yeah, he did. But then the draft pick thing, it should have been about 4 years, and it should have been like the first 4 rounds to make up for not a Super Bowl, but a World Series championship. That the series went into 7 games, and it was a heck of, especially at Game 6. We talked about that in Week 1. But I mean, it was a heck of a series, and you take away that, the Dodgers win in 5 probably. Mm-hmm. But no, and then lastly, you got to penalize the players. I don't understand why Jose Altuve, 100%. Bregman, Gurriel, Correa, Springer, Verlander, Garrett Cole even. I think all those guys, they deserve to be suspended. I would say for half a season.
Indefinitely, for sure, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And the ongoing investigation, with the Alex Cora situation in Boston, them saying they did, them saying they didn't, whatever. But if they did, same thing goes there. Well, I mean, it's the exact same situation, and you got to penalize it. Players shouldn't be inevitable to things like that when they were if it weren't for the players that went to win the World Series at all. So now it's the players that are all on board the cheating, the banging of the garbage can, whatever it was. It's ridiculous that nothing has happened to the players, especially the status of the Astros. Mm-hmm. Those guys, every one of them, they deserve something.
Well, but do you take away their trophy? I think it's
simple.
Yes.
Yes.
Did Reggie Bush get his trophy taken away for what again?
Yes, seriously.
Can anybody tell me who was runner-up the year that Reggie Bush won his Heisman?
It's probably someone from Oklahoma that no one even remembers anymore.
Vince Young. It had to have been Vince.
I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to check. I thought it was Vince, but now I'm not so sure. You guys can continue. I'll do some research.
Okay, so I want to throw in my points before we move on here. Maybe get Rhino's points in. There's a 25-man roster in the postseason baseball. They got fined $5 million in total, the organization, and did. Each player from
That
the
was
Astros,
ridiculous.
not each player, yeah, my bad, the organization in general did. Each player from the Astros got $438,000 for winning that World Series. You times that by 25, you get almost $11 million. So I want to know why it was only $5 million, and they didn't even say anything about taking away a trophy or suspending players like Altuve, Reddick, etc. indefinitely. And one thing I want to throw in there before I possibly move over to Ryan here is props to ex-Brewer Mike Fiers for coming out and being the whistleblower and not living with the grief.
Yeah, that definitely takes guts for Mike Fiers. The fine was only $5 million because in the MLB that is the maximum amount that can be fined to a team, no matter what the crime is.
Mm-hmm. Which is ridiculous when you think about
Perfect. Fine them 3 separate times.
it. Yeah, seriously. Fine them for each player.
Taking away their manager or suspending their manager and their general manager, that's the right thing to do. The draft picks, that's fine. Take them away. But the players, I would say, especially the hitters, I don't know about the pitchers so much, like Verlander and Cole, but the hitters, like Bregman, Correa, Altuve.
That's true. The pitchers, yeah.
The system of banging the trash can was made by the players and Alex Cora, but mainly the players. And it said that in the commissioner's report. So if the system's made by the players, they win the World Series, they get caught cheating, they don't get punished. I don't get that at all. Something's not right. And AJ Hinch, the Astros manager, he didn't like their system of cheating. He smashed the video monitor multiple times. He broke their TV camera, which was part of their whole system. So obviously he didn't like their system. So, and then the Astros owner doesn't get punished. Maybe that.
It's just conspiracy everywhere, and I think something should be done with that whole organization. But moving on, Isaac, I want you to mainly touch on this with us throwing things in very, very rarely because we're almost running out of time here. Antonio Brown, I know you probably got a lot to say about him, so go on with it.
Antonio Brown is the dumbest athlete in sports right now. And after watching, I don't know how many of you guys have tuned into the Aaron Hernandez CTE documentary that they did on his life. I'm about halfway through the second episode, and it's as a human being that doesn't play professional sports, it's hard to understand the effects that CTE can have on somebody's life. I think I was reading today about Josh Cribbs, which is a random name from NFL Pass, but they diagnosed him with CTE at the age of 32, and they said he had a brain of an 80-year-old man. And the things that, I'm not saying that what Aaron Hernandez by any means is right, can be excused in any way. He deserved the punishment that he received fully. What he did was wrong, but it is unfortunate to see, the emotional side that goes with what CTE offers. And I think that it's time to take Antonio Brown and put him in that bubble of, you got to give this dude a mental check. You've got to scan his brain. You've got to give him help that he needs, because right now he's going off the rails. I mean, it is one thing after the other. And it's been that way for the past year to a year and a half. And, is it maybe that one hit he took from Vontaze Burfict across the middle, that everybody wants to point to? I don't know. It could be. But it's time to look at Antonio Brown and look past his antics and the poor decisions he's made as a human being. And not just say, hey, I hate when people just want to use CTE as an excuse. Say, well, he's diagnosed with CTE, well, we're going to give him a pass. Antonio Brown is still a human being and still has decisions to make, and wakes up and is going to make a right or wrong decision every day. But I think there has to be more understanding behind his situation if it indeed comes out and is true that he is. He has an 85-year-old man's brain. He's waking up confused. He doesn't really know, things are going on. It's time to look at Antonio Brown, the human, and not Antonio Brown, the social media figure, the NFL athlete, and the screw up right now, because he is acting like a clown. And I think it's at times funny, but very sad. And I think it's time to take a deep look into it.
I just have a short little thing to add here. I agree with your point that people are too quick to say anything wrong with a football player is CTE. Some of these things have to do with where these kids grew up to begin with and how they were raised and what their mindset is. Now, I don't know about Antonio Brown. I knew he grew up in Liberty City, Miami, which is actually one of the most dangerous parts of Miami, but I don't know too much about that. But another thing, kind of like the Antonio Brown situation, over this past weekend, or a couple of days ago, former Jaguar safety from their dominance back when they first came into the league, before they started, falling off the rails a little bit. Donovan Darius was arrested on Sunday for driving under the influence, and he said he swallowed up to 20 to 30 antidepressants. And sure, stuff like that. You got to look at where these guys grew up. I know for a fact Donovan Darius grew up in Camden, New Jersey, which is one of the most dangerous places in the East Side, on the East Coast, excuse me. So just looking at Darius as an example, we gotta find support groups for people that grew up maybe not in the best ways and maybe have trauma from when they were younger and the stuff that they saw and the stuff that they did. So that's just one thing I wanted to throw in there. Hayden and Rhino?
Go ahead, Rhino.
Oh gosh. AB.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's gone. It's too far.
He needs help.
Yeah. It's gone on too long, with too many things. You're exactly right, Isaac. One thing after another, literally. Did you see what he was wearing when he walked out of that courthouse?
Wasn't it like a Louis Vuitton, Gucci, like a suicide, or not suicide vest, but like
He literally looked like Willy Wonka out
a
there.
bulletproof vest?
Yeah. Oh, no, you're talking about in the court hearing. Yes, he had to wear a suicide vest. Yeah, they made him wear one. And then, but he showed up and left in it literally looked like Willy Wonka. It was like a teal tuxedo. You see that thing?
No.
It was like a teal tuxedo, and then the man had a green, I believe it was a button-up or a sweater, underneath the tuxedo, with the tuxedo open. He looked like the morning after a long night out. That's what he looked like. He looked like straight up throw up, and I was disappointed in him. But here's the thing about Antonio Brown is I do think something's wrong with him, but he knows everything he does. Like, he's not an idiot. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he continues to dig himself into a deeper hole that I think undoubtedly he'll never get out.
Here's Hayden. If Tannehill does not make or the Titans do not make the playoffs next year, we are going to replicate his outfit as close as possible. and we have to spend an hour in Fox Valley or Fox River Mall.
Fox River Mall. There's a classic. Wow, they got a new store in there. I thought you were going to say that they'd like sign him in the off season or something. I think that was the way it was heading. But sure, you know what, Isaac? I'm that confident in Marcus Mariota and company down there in Nashville. Let's agree to a virtual handshake as we speak.
All right, so moving on, we're going to do a final little segment here, and it's just my little sock roundup. A lot of transfer news today. Besides that, not too much is going on. Besides, Jurgen Klopp, the manager of Liverpool, said that he has no interest in going to the second replay of the FA Cup versus Shrewsbury because they don't give him any time to prep, and they're just going to be throwing a throw-in coach and a bunch of youngins out there. And I got to say, I do agree. The FA did come out and say that they were going to try to schedule it so players could have winter breaks and stuff. But yet, on this replay, Liverpool does not get a break, and they're in about almost every English and European competition you can think of. Moving on to some of the transfer news, we got some done deals here. Giovanni Lo Celso goes to from Real Betis to Tottenham. They ended up liking what he did over there on loan, and they ended up buying him for about 27.2 British pounds. Some other big ones just to touch on is Hatem Ben Arfa. I'm sure many of you know him as a very skillful player and a very underrated player, you could say. The 32-year-old went to Real Valladolid. Excuse me, I'm not fluent in Spanish too well, so couldn't really tell you how to pronounce that. But signed for Ronaldo Ronaldo's club, and I like that move. I think that's an interesting one. I'm so happy to see him back in the world of football. And here's the biggest one. Christian Eriksen, the Tottenham Spur, probably their best player, if not top 2 player, moved to Inter Milan on 16.9 million British pounds, and I think that's what Inter Milan need to make the push to possibly knock Juventus off as the reigning champs, because Juventus have just owned that league for so long. And if you look at it on paper, I still think Juventus got the better team. However, I think with the front three of Eriksen, Lukaku, and Lautaro Martinez, I think we're looking at a very good front three that will possibly be able to beat out Juventus' front three of Higuain, Dybala, and Ronaldo. So that's really it for the transfer part, unless I'm missing a pretty big one, which I probably am, but we'll just let that one go for right now. However, I think I don't have too much to touch on besides Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the manager of Manchester United, came out and said that they will be bringing Alexis Sanchez back from his loan at Inter Milan, and he's injured right now, so it has no effect on Inter Milan. However, I do think Solskjaer came out and said that Sanchez will prove everybody wrong, and at the age of 31, 32, however old he is, soccer is a very demanding sport, and especially for a Manchester United team that's in the dump, 5th place right now, 6 points out of a Champions League spot in the English Premier League. I do not in any way see Sanchez coming back to make an improvement on the field. Now, he could make an improvement in the locker room. Here's one I missed. Speaking of Manchester United, excuse me, guys. Bruno Fernandes of Sporting FC got moved to Manchester United on an initial £47 million fee. And I got to say, I like that move. I do think he's going to now be Manchester United's best player. However, that team is just so bad to begin with that there's no way. I mean, maybe it boosts them into the 4th spot if Chelsea end up slipping under Frank Lampard, but anything else under that I don't see happening. And the last thing I wanted to say is I'm happy to see soccer around the world. As you know, Kobe Bryant, the late Kobe Bryant, was a huge soccer fan. He actually grew up in Italy watching his dad play professionally until the age of 13, until he moved to Philadelphia. So I think it's awesome just to see respect given by all these different soccer players. If you were on Instagram, I'm sure you saw it, or on Twitter, etc. And especially AC Milan, they all wore the number 24 they all wore the number 24 in their game of the Italian Cup against Torino, just to pay tribute to Kobe Bryant, because he was a huge AC Milan fan. As I mentioned, he grew up in Italy. So I think that was just something I want to put out there about how great the sports world in general did, but especially the soccer world. So that's going to do it for us on episode 4 of Here We Go Again podcast. It is Wednesday, January 29th. And the boys like to say goodbye, and especially our guest, Ryan Dayton, would like to say goodbye.
I would like to thank everybody for the love and support that they've given me in regards to losing Bobby Shmurda late last week. I would like to give an update on the tank. I did go to the store today and I bought another fish, and I think it's only deserving that I give that fish a great name. So please welcome to the family, the Black Mamba.
Oh, very good. What kind of fish is he? Is he black?
He is, yes, he's black, but I am not well versed in the fish names. He's not a goldfish and he's not a bass, so he's somewhere between the two.
Sure.
But just a fantastic companion so far.
Yeah, very good. Some type of, piranha. Well, very good. Yes, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure joining you guys. It was more fun today with my good friend and colleague, as I aforementioned, Ryan Dayton. The pleasure was ours here tonight.
Loved having you, Ryan.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was a blast. I enjoyed listening to you guys. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right, and for all you that enjoy listening, we will be back again on next Monday, I think it is, with a new episode. We'll try to keep that one a little shorter here because we're approaching 50 minutes. However, I would like to thank you guys for all listening, and here we go again.